Hello everyone. Dear viewers of my YouTube channel, I continue my journey through the music world. The heroes of today's video are the Scorpions. I have collected for you top 10 interesting facts about this group and its frontman Klaus Meine. Friends, do not forget to subscribe to my channel, put likes, leave comments and share videos on your social networks. Go! 10th place. Like many teenagers in post-war Germany, Klaus Meine and Rudolf Schenker were influenced by music and other delights of modern life brought to their homeland by American soldiers. Elvis Presley, bubblegum, blue jeans, leather vests and, above all, rock and roll. From an early age, Klaus and Rudolf felt an irresistible urge to pick up a guitar and step under the footlights. In the early 60s, the Beatles revolutionized the beat. And in the mid-60s, Klaus Meine and Rudolf Schenker, blessed by understanding parents, also began performing with their own beat groups. 9th place. With the coming of New 1970, the younger Schenker, who despite his youth had already established himself as an outstanding guitarist, left the Hanover band Copernicus with singer and composer Klaus Meine to join the Scorpions. Klaus and Rudolf have teamed up to create the superb creative duo Meine-Schenker, thus laying the foundation for an impressive success story. 8th place. In 1972, the Scorpions released the remarkable debut album Lonesome Crow, 1972, produced by Conny Plank in Hamburg. The vocal and instrumental tunes, which after a few years became the typical, unchanging Scorpion sound, are already recognizable, uncompromising guitar hard rock like that played by Jimi Hendrix, Cream, Led Zeppelin in the mid-60s. 7th place. The Scorpions' distinctive style is the result of a combination of two electric guitars, with unusually powerful riffs and dazzling ornate solos. Add to this the instantly recognizable voice of singer and frontman Klaus Meine with his expressive, brilliant delivery. 6th place. In the 70s, they embarked on several tours of Western Europe, playing at numerous venues and conquering country after country. They appeared wherever they could connect their instruments. In 1973 they supported the Suite on their first European tour. During this time, the Scorpions continued to work on studio albums, of which the next 4 were recorded with Ulrich. Fly to the Rainbow, 1974, features a hard, energetic rock like never before heard from a German band. The title track, Speedy's Coming, epitomizes the Scorpions' style of ultra-hard rock in harmony with exciting melodies. 5th place. In 1975, the Scorpions toured Europe, where they featured alongside Kiss. In the same year they were named the best concert group in Germany. Touring the UK, the Scorpions found themselves in the Lion's Den. They had the honor to perform at the legendary Cavern Club in Liverpool, Cavern Club. In this cradle of hard rock, they have won acclaim from even the most die-hard British fans. Further successes of the Scorpions in the mid-70s were concerts at the famous London club The Marquee. 4th place. Michael Schenker returned to the band for a short time. He recorded parts in some songs with Love Drive, and then Matthias Jabs finally took the vacant place as a guitarist. This was preceded by a huge amount of work. In 1978, an ad appeared in Melody Maker magazine. The Scorpions were looking for a new lead guitarist. In London, they had to audition for more than 140 applicants until they settled on their fellow Hanoverian Matthias Jabs, joining in at the very end. Matthias nevertheless immediately joined the recording of Love Drive. The album was a huge triumph for the band and remains one of the Scorpions' finest albums to this day. The cover won the Best Artistic Design Award of the year. Third place. Matthias Jabs, one might say, jumped on the bandwagon of the departing train, having accomplished a real feat, literally the night before. He learned the entire program of the upcoming tour. His baptism of fire took place while the Scorpions played in front of a crowd of 55,000 supporting Genesis. In Matthias, the Scorpions have finally found a lead guitarist whose enthusiasm, virtuosity and creativity have decisively contributed to the band's success. Thanks to him, the Scorpion sound has become even richer and more expressive. Like the missing piece of the puzzle, his guitar perfectly complemented the band's dynamics, creating what we call the Scorpions' unique sound. Second place. After an even more successful tour in 1981, while recording Blackout, 1982, Klaus Meine suddenly lost his voice. Not wanting to hinder the band's success, Klaus decided to leave the Scorpions. But the strong friendship between Klaus and Rudolf, along with the support of all members of the group, allowed the almost impossible to happen. After long training sessions and 2 operations on the ligaments, Klaus was able to recover from his injury. Moreover, in 1982 he returned with significantly improved vocal skills. One critic wrote, "They gave Klaus Meine iron ties." The group's decision not to part with its unchanging vocalist subsequently fully justified itself. It became the most fateful in the history of the Scorpions. Because it was Klaus Meine who wrote the super hit Wind of Change in 1989. First place. The Scorpions have climbed to the very top of the musical Olympus. 3 of their albums hit the American charts at once: Animal Magnetism 1980, Blackout 1982, and Love at First Sting 1984. The Scorpions spent 2 years on Wheels, participating in all the major rock festivals that followed Woodstock. They toured all over the world with squadrons of trucks, buses, helicopters, their own planes and traditional limousines. The Hanoverian heavy metal band has now given grandiose concerts in North, South, Central America, Europe, and also in Asia, in Malaysia, the Philippines, Thailand and Japan. It was the golden age of hard rock. Giant stages, lighting and pyrotechnic effects. The Scorpions unleashed a storm of light and sound on the audience. Friends, thank you all for watching. I really hope that this video was interesting to you. I love you all very much. See you later.